What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. First, Raw after the Thunderdome era and the night after Money in the Bank. So what surprises can fans expect as the WWE deals with the fallout from Money in the Bank? Well, join us now as we look at the 19th July edition of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the real reason why Charlotte lost the Raw Women's Championship after only a day, Bryan Done with the WWE, why WWE has buried Karrion Kross, is Braun Strowman returning to the WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, as always, we aren't recapping the matches, but just providing you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, the face that still runs the place. John Cena opening up Raw was the perfect way to kick off the first Raw out of the Thunderdome. It's hard to think of someone any bigger than John Cena to welcome the fans back, and the WWE capitalized on this. Cena, who returned at the end of Money in the Bank's Roman Reigns vs Edge match, was in full effect and ready to address the universe, explaining his return and his desire to wrestle Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. The C Nation leader made it clear he's not doing this to break Ric Flair's record of 16 World Championships, a record Cena has tied, but because Roman Reigns is, well, just an a-hole. Cena cut a brilliant promo explaining how it's time to knock Roman Reigns down a peg and reminding the Universal Champion that it's the fans who tell you whether or not you're great. Cena's fiery promo served as a reminder that sometimes the best storylines are the ones that rely on basics, in this case an arrogant heel who needs his comeuppance. Number 2, Jeff wins, but at what price? Jeff Hardy finally won a match on Raw after weeks of counting the lights, but at what cost? As good as it was to see Jeff get the Duke, the WWE should have never done so at the expense of Karrion Kross. Kross's debut was awful and he received absolutely zero reaction from the crowd, never a good sign for someone whose main roster career depends on Vince McMahon. Anyway, more on that later. Also, not only did Jeff Hardy get a win, but his theme song No More Words is back. Yeah, you may recall that when Hardy signed up back with the WWE, his contract stated he could use his theme music No More Words once fans returned. Well, the fans did return, and so did Jeff Hardy's theme, with the WWE Universe reacting enthusiastically. His theme song fits him like a glove, and bringing it back could help jumpstart his WWE career. No idea why we have to say that with Jeff Hardy, but it is a fact. Is this the start of a push for Jeff, who's been jobbing left and right over the last several months, or a moment of false hope? Number 3, and a new Raw Women's Champion. Last night's Raw featured some major surprises, as well as a huge win for Nikki, almost a superhero Kross. Nikki, who won the 2021 Women's Money in the Bank briefcase, didn't wait long to cash it in, using the briefcase to challenge Raw Women's Champion Charlotte right after Rhea Ripley delivered a post-match beatdown to the Queen. Mrs. Money in the Bank promptly pinned Flair, scoring her first singles championship in the WWE. It wasn't just a great surprise cash-in, it was the icing on the cake for a superstar whose new gimmick as almost a superhero has skyrocketed her straight to the top. Now that Nikki is champion, it seems inevitable that the WWE will book her against Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. This match has all the makings of a classic good versus evil battle, along with the still unresolved issue of Bliss turning her back on her bestie. Number 4, McIntyre is a monster. Drew McIntyre was a man possessed on Raw, with the Scottish Warrior looking for revenge against Jinder Mahal for costing him a likely win in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. McIntyre's role as a kick-ass babyface was on full display as he destroyed Mahal and his henchmen, showing no mercy as he dished out a beatdown and building up a good feud between Mahal and McIntyre. This feud is a good way not only to see if the modern-day Maharaja has what it takes to be a main eventer again, but it's a good way to keep Drew involved in a high-profile program since he's effectively out of the championship picture for now. That was the good. What about the bad is number 1, Jackson's reaction. Jackson Ryker is a failed experiment who's not only a terrible babyface, but one who the fans have no interest in. His match against Elias not only garnered no reaction from the fans, it did nothing for Elias. They should have ended his program after it became clear no one cared about their so-called rivalry. Well, let's be fair, Ryker isn't a talentless bum, but he's not cut out for a role as a babyface, and the WWE needs to retool him or future endeavor him. As for Elias, he's a charismatic wrestler who is also a surprisingly good worker. They made a huge mistake when it turned him heel last year after a short babyface run, and his career hasn't been the same since. Number 2, who's next? Now wait a minute, who cares? Oh, he's back. Yeah, Goldberg is back, but at this point, does anyone even care? While a Goldberg vs Lashley encounter might have been a dream match a few years back, Big Bad Bill has been anything but, dropping too many matches against main eventers, including this Royal Rumble loss to Drew McIntyre. Goldberg calling out Lashley was more of the same, and at this point in his career, Bill's promos could just as easily have come from a WWE tough talker action figure. And a crippling comeback. Keith Lee is back after months of the WWE Universe clamoring for the Limitless One's return. So what did the WWE do to capitalize on the fans' love for Lee? Did they have him cut a passionate promo thanking the fans for their support and promising to live up to their expectations? Did they have Lee squash an opponent, reminding fans why the big man has so much to offer in the ring? No, they just had him lose to Bobby Lashley, killing any momentum he had with his return. Now, we're not saying that Lee should have beat Lashley, but the WWE should have given both men different opponents. But that was the bad. What about the, downright ugly? Killing the killer. Karrion Kross made his long-awaited debut on Raw, and it has to rank as one of the worst debuts by an NXT star ever. Karrion Kross's debut on Raw exemplified every other dismissal debut for NXT sensations, but this one hurt even more because Kross is still NXT champion. Why they felt the need to have the black and gold brand's top star lose in his debut match and in 1 minute 40 seconds is beyond us. And while it remains to be seen what's next for Kross, it's difficult to imagine a more uneventful debut. As we'll see in the news, Vince McMahon's feelings for NXT are at an all-time low, but doing Kross like this was really downright ugly. Now, all in all, last night's Raw was a decent follow-up to Money in the Bank, but it was amazingly average other than the appearances by Cena and Goldberg. If this is the best the WWE can do with Raw, the return of fans is going to be short-lived as more people tune out and pass on buying tickets for live events. That was the good, bad, and the downright ugly of Raw. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at the real reason why Karrion Kross was buried. Our top story deals with the shocking reason behind Karrion Kross's unexpected debut loss and the fans' reaction. Now, for those wondering why the NXT champion lost in his Raw debut to Jeff Hardy in 1 minute 40, a wrestler who has been on a serious losing streak, the answer appears to be that Vince McMahon cares nothing about NXT. According to Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp, he does not give a damn about NXT. Sapp also said he received a text from an NXT source that Kross's loss felt like a message being sent to NXT. Well, McMahon's message seems obvious. It's my company and I make and break stars. Still, you own this brand. Why do you want to bury it? WWE fans reacted harshly to Kross's loss, and it's hard to blame them as he has been one of the hottest acts on the black and gold brand, with NXT fans enjoying his cold, calculating monster heel character. However, Kross's debut and loss follows the pattern of Vince McMahon treating some of NXT's biggest stars as glorified enhancement talent. Ironically, Vinnie Mac has also called up NXT wrestlers, reportedly to freshen up the main roster. What's the point if you're just gonna bury them? Next up, the real reason why Charlotte lost in just 1 day. And Nikki, almost a superhero, has been on fire, not only becoming Mrs. Money in the Bank, but successfully cashing in against Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. It's difficult to recall such a career resurgence for a female superstar, as Nikki has gone from a lengthy absence to a world champion. Now, according to a report from Wrestling News' Paul Davis, management loves Nikki's new gimmick, which is why she's been pushed so quickly and so much. Nikki is beloved by everyone in the locker room, and she gets praise for the hard work she puts into improving the ring, and she's getting praise for coming up with her new gimmick. The gimmick which she came up with is being met with a lot of praise, and Vince McMahon is said to be happy with it and proud of her for thinking outside the box. Nikki Cross's career took a nosedive when they split her from Alexa Bliss, but she obviously didn't waste her time off television, instead devising her new character and making it work. Davis added, Vince loves the gimmick and feels that she has opened up a world of opportunities to sell more merchandise and for her to do some community outreach with the kids. She took initiative and she got rewarded last night. And if you're wondering why Charlotte Flair won the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank only to lose it the next night, well, apparently the reason is the WWE wanted a quick win for the Queen so she could add another title win to her already impressive resume. Meltzer commented on the situation during the Wrestling Observer Radio, observing the WWE wants to have Charlotte break her father's record of 16 world championships. I told you why she wins it. She's got to win it 6 times, so they're going to do one-day title reigns because they got to get it to 16. It's obvious the WWE is still big on Flair, and while some fans resent her push, it doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. Next up is Daniel Bryan done with the WWE. Now, according to PW Insider, they noted that Bryan is not listed as an internal WWE roster member, nor has WWE made any more further discussions with him. They also believe that he'll eventually sign with AEW, but take that with a hint of salt. In fact, take that one with a heap of salt. Likewise, with all WWE superstars who have been future endeavored or just left the company, Bryan's profile is in the alumni section. It's also confirmed that Bryan was not part of the recent list of talent plans for licensing and merchandising for 2021 and 2022, nor does he have any action figures planned. It either seems that Bryan is keeping his options open, or he's just really done with the WWE and willing to move on either to AEW or another promotion, or just giving up wrestling altogether. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. And is Braun Strowman returning to WWE? And last but not least, leave it to the WWE to release merchandise for a future endeavored wrestler. Wrestling Inc. reports WWE Shop has now got Braun Strowman Monsters Are Real t-shirt and tank top available, despite them releasing Strowman on 2nd June. Could this mean that WWE have rethought about releasing him, just like they did with Samoa Joe? Well, let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.